The front desk said, "Welcome back." He'd checked in with someone else. Hook. The front desk clerk smiled like she recognized the choreography of my life. "Welcome back, Mr. Hale," she said, sliding a key card across the marble. The envelope had my husband's handwriting on it, his neat block letters spelling my name like a vow that had learned to be polite. I hadn't booked a room. I hadn't been back anywhere. The lobby smelled like citrus and money learning humility. The bellman tilted his head the way people do when they're trained to know where everyone sleeps. "My name is Alex, 35. I write copy that convinces people to trust a product that doesn't know their name. My husband is James. He designs museum exhibits, moving light and sound through rooms until strangers behave like believers. 4 years in, we are fastidious about kindness and careless about heat. We share passwords and groceries and a tolerance for late trains. We do not, as a rule, share hotel rooms with strangers." I took the envelope and the smiling clerk's confidence to the elevator. The mirror knew my face better than I did. On the key sleeve in James's pen was a single line: "If you come, knock twice. If you don't, I'll still tell you." A suite number was written beneath it, as if suites belong to people who can afford a good story. When I stepped into the corridor, the carpet softened my footsteps to a lie. The door to the suite had that heavy, rich man complaint when I knocked. 2 beats. The pause between them sounded like courage being picked up and put back down. He opened it barefoot, shirt sleeves rolled to the degree that makes decency illegal. He wasn't alone. The man on the sofa sat with a glass of water and a posture that apologized for nothing. He stood as if good manners had called his name. His face was the kind that would be forgiven by fluorescent light and worshipped under anything warmer. He held himself like a thesis, neat, declarative, daring me to disagree. "Alex," James said, and my name in his mouth made the room find its focus. He didn't reach for me. That was the new thing, and it almost forgave the rest. "I'm Rowan," the man said. He didn't offer his hand, which was a courtesy to all of us. He stepped aside, opening space without giving up heat. The suite was arranged like an argument that had brought witnesses. 2 empty glasses on the counter, a pair of shoes near the sofa that weren't ours, the bed turned down with the kind of fold that thinks it has a right to watch. "I was going to tell you," James said. He looked smaller in the generous light, or maybe the room made me larger. He gestured toward the water like it could be trusted. "Come in, please." I came in because the opposite would have turned me into a version of myself I couldn't pay taxes as. The door shut softly, performing discretion for whoever cared to applaud. I put the key envelope on the table and turned it with my fingers until the hotel's logo was upside down, like maybe gravity could be recruited to my argument. "You kissed him," I said. It wasn't a question. Questions are what people ask when they want permission to lie. "Twice," James said, refusing to rehearse. "Once because I wanted to be chosen without auditioning. Once because I wanted to hurt us hard enough to move. Both times I thought of you. Both times I kept going." Rowan watched the sentence land. He didn't rush to justify. He put his glass down with the kind of care that makes you like a person despite yourself. "He told me you exist in all his favorite verbs," he said quietly. "He told me if I had a shred of timing, I'd leave before it got cinematic." "Do you want me to leave?" he added. And it's still astonishing how erotic decency can be when it isn't afraid. "Yes," I said, "because speed is a kindness even strangers deserve." "Thank you," I added, "because my mother raised me to polish hinges even when the door is on fire." He nodded, passed me with heat polite enough to be weather, and touched James's knuckles with 2 fingers. Punctuation, not claim. The latch clicked. The suite fell into a silence that had been rehearsing for this moment. James let out a breath a fraction too loud, like a man returning borrowed lungs. He didn't move. Neither did I. The city outside did its affidavit. Sirens performing remorse, an elevator deciding, some distant laughter like someone had survived on purpose. "I got the points email," I said, looking at the bed like it might confess. "Platinum welcome back, 2 nights comped, a suite for your loyalty." "I used our points," he said, wince intact. "I told myself it would make the truth feel affordable." "Truth isn't something you expense," I said. But I sat on the sofa anyway because a good argument requires a chair. He came to the edge of the coffee table, and then the edge of himself. And then he did it, placed his palm where it belongs, between my shoulder blades, the square that convinces my lungs to act like domesticated animals. We kept it clean because some cameras are always imagining you, and explicit enough that the glass decided to become scenery. My mouth found the angle of his jaw that still knows my name even when I've been lazy about remembering it. His breath wrote a contract along the base of my neck. I countersigned. "I don't want to audition for your forgiveness," he said against the collar I wear when I have to be brave in public. "I want to be chosen and then worth it." "Then stop renting scenery," I said. "Use the hallway light at home." He laughed, short and unhandsome, and the sound made my sternum clock back in. He told me the short version of the long story, the donor dinner where applause wears sincerity wrong side out, the drink that tasted like permission, the text that arrived in the exact tone of a dare. He said Rowan's name twice, mine enough times to push blood into the place behind my ribs that sometimes forgets what it's hired for. We didn't take off our clothes. There's a kind of erotics that belongs to rooms that can be itemized. Breath with manners, hands with a job, a mouth remembering its union card. I pressed my thumb to his wrist until his pulse behaved like a reason. He put his forehead to mine like a man surrendering a weapon and hopping to keep his hands. "Do we go home," he asked, "or do we make this room tell the truth?" "Both," I said. "We make the room say sorry with water in the good glasses. Then we go home and teach the hallway light our names." He poured, we drank. The glasses clicked like a liturgy learned late. The bed stopped pretending it wasn't paying attention. We left the hotel together, shoulder to shoulder, which is a trick. The front desk clerk smiled the smile you offer people when you know a story and expect to keep it. Outside, the air made a point of existing. We walked the 15 blocks home because walking is the only prayer that doesn't ask for a receipt. In our kitchen, I tore a strip of blue painter's tape and made a small square on the window. I wrote 807 above it with the pencil that lives beside our calendar and our better intentions. "Every night," I said. 4 minutes for breath, no narration. 3 minutes for inventory, 3 facts, 2 fears, 1 want, no prosecution. Then water in the good glasses. If we still want to fight after that, we can hire a referee. He pressed his palm between my shoulder blades at 8:07 the next night. For the first 60 seconds, my lungs performed like interns. By the second minute, they signed their W-2s. By the third, my mouth remembered the place under his ear that makes rooms admit they're listening. We kept it decent and explicit, and the window forgave us by being glass. It wasn't tidy. Twice that week he was late and the old monologue in my throat put on its tuxedo and asked to be seated at a microphone. I asked it to wait in the lobby. Once I saw Rowan leaving a gallery opening, tie loosened to the illegal degree, laughing with a woman whose earrings looked like punctuation. He lifted 2 fingers, weather, not invitation, and I nodded because spite is expensive and I intend to retire loved. At 3:15 one afternoon, my phone buzzed a push alert no app will claim. Listen to 11 seconds of water. Present/bus stop, I wrote. Present/mount, he replied, which is exhibit maker for I'm up where the weight is, making sure nothing falls on you when you walk under it. We also fought because people who stay tell the truth even when it's inelegant. I asked why applause makes him so thirsty. He asked why I prefer dignity to heat. I said I am tired of writing copy for our marriage that reads like compliance. He said he forgot he could ask me for noise. We traded sentences small enough to carry and heavy enough to do work. He said Rowan's name without flinching. I said mine like an address I'm not planning to sublet. A week later, the hotel emailed a survey. How was your stay? I filled it out like a man who has decided to be useful. The water pressure was honest. The sheets were complicit. The loyalty program works. We're spending our points at home. I didn't hit send. I read it to James at 8:20 while our glasses clicked like a language we finally admit to studying. Our therapist, the one who prefers chairs to couches because posture is part of the treatment, asked if we plan to make a rule about other people. Rules are for theaters and airlines, I said. We need rituals. James nodded without looking at me, which means he agreed and didn't want to make me vain. The therapist smiled the way professionals do when they watch two stubborn men invent a door. One night we went back to the museum after hours because James had to approve a lighting cue and I had to learn how not to hate rooms for flattering strangers. The empty gallery did its velvet hush. He stood under a skylight and adjusted a dimmer until a painting that had refused to be vulnerable suddenly gave up the name of its light. He looked over at me, hand out, palm up. I crossed the space between us like a person who knows which side he's on. Clean. Explicit. The security camera observed and declined to testify. Rowan texted once more, a line with a period and no plea. He's a good man, be inconvenient for him. I wrote back, we're trying a new habit. He replied, make it expensive to quit. No names, no apologies, the adult version of grace. People ask in bathroom lines and on rooftops and under lamps that misbehave whether there was a villain. They want me to say a man with forgiving wrists, or a hotel with forgiving light, or a husband who outsourced urgency to a loyalty program. The truth humiliates us evenly, which is the only kind that helps. The villain was the version of us that believed heat could be scheduled and romance subcontracted. The miracle was repetitive and small. Knock on our own door, say where we are, put a palm where breath listens, count to 60, try again. The erotic part wasn't the white shirt rolled one button too far, or the sweet key slid across polished stone, or the bed that tried to make itself the protagonist. It was water in the good glasses clicking like a language we finally agreed to learn. It was my name in his mouth at the windows blue, spoken like rent paid on time. It was the hallway light that turns on when we open our door, admitting us without performing virtue. Last night he put the hotel envelope, my name in his neat block letters, into the drawer labeled miscellaneous, which is another way to spell maybe in this apartment. Souvenir, he said, for the day we need to remember what points can't buy. He kissed me then, not like a debt, not like a bribe, but like a man practicing the difficult sport of staying. Tonight at 7:58 I'll set my phone face down like manners are still a technology worth installing. At 8:07 his palm will find the back of the heart and the city will do its useless affidavit outside. If we miss, we'll try at 8:17, at 10:10, at 11:11, whenever mercy clocks in. Somewhere a clerk is telling someone else welcome back. Our door knows our knock. It keeps opening when we ask it to.